Marvel and DC are burning. And that is good. Very good, in fact. And it's by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Nerdrotic.
Nerdrotic.com.
Greetings, you over 838,000 practitioners
That's a
of
lot.
common sense and the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. Let's talk about superhero fatigue. Again, this may come as a bit of a shock to you, so you might want to prepare yourself. Blue Beetle was a massive flop. A film that could have been an average, forgettable superhero film, but thanks to its dogmatic adherence to the message, it was turned into forgettable hot garbage. I saw it last Friday, and the only thing I can remember is it's filled with representation. The third version of a DC superhero that is Latino, just in case you didn't catch it in any of the marketing, and he's up against an elderly woman and her angry pool boy in a film that feels like Iron Man, Spider.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I actually had relatively decent hopes for Blue Beetle because my thought process was simple. Well, Blue Beetle is supposed to be, Spanish, Mexican, or whatever you want to even call it. It's like, are they really gonna just cram the classic shit into something that is already pretty much adhering honestly to the message? I thought probably not. They're probably not gonna overly do it, right? Well, seems I was wrong. I'm sorry, my Latinx friends. I'm joking. I'm never gonna call any of you Latinx. You know I'm joking. You're all cool.
Man and Captain Marvel, of all things, put into a blender. Did I mention it also had representation? It also happens to be the first mainstream Latino superhero film. It's also the first mainstream Latino superhero film to be the second worst opening of the entire DCEU.
So there's that.
Barely beating it.
The special effects on Blue Beetle, as much as I have seen on Twitter and other places, are obviously not obviously, but are pretty visibly next level garbage, by the way. It probably has one of the worst CGI yet. And remember, we survived Wasp Man Quantum Tunnel Morbin time. So it's even worse than that on average, it seems like. Which is honestly kind of commendable that Marvel can actually pull it off.
Out Wonder Woman 84, which had a day-and-date release on then HBO. By the way, can we stop giving Gal Gadot a pass?
Imagine there's no heaven.
That is not going to be saved by...
No! We cannot stop giving her the pass because she's hot. At least I say she's hot. So I'm gonna keep giving her the pass because she at least kind of does semi-reasonable things sometimes. I honestly get the impression from her that she's more playing along. For example, here, she's like, okay, I'm obviously not gonna go against her. I'm gonna say, like, the most meager stuff possible. And there we go. But I give her mostly a pass just because she's hot. What? I'm a basic.
The prince.
She's not gonna be saved by the prince.
Blue Beetle's performance issues at the box office are part of a bigger problem, and it just reaffirms that superhero fatigue is here. I can hear you now. It's not superhero fatigue. It's bad movie fatigue, something I used to believe, but not necessarily anymore.
I still believe.
And we'll get to that. I guess the question we should ask is it DC or Marvel's fault? The answer is yes, but mostly it was the MCU that killed the superhero star. Don't believe me? Let's go to the veteran director of the Marvels, Nia DaCosta, who might have been unintentionally too honest, especially for a Disney Marvel director, when she pointed out that superhero fatigue is here, all while completely missing the point as to why it's here. I'm also going to shock you a second time, so again, prepare yourself. Nia DaCosta, the director of the Marvels, also stated that story is more important than representation.
What did you say?
Oh yeah.
Dude, is she gonna get, like, fired or something? Wow, isn't that, like... doesn't that, like, pretty much get you automatically in the 7th layer of Dante's Inferno or something like that, admitting that? Woof.
Even the Marvels director admits superhero fatigue is real, but misses the point entirely. That she does. The Marvels is one of the upcoming movies set in the MCU, and while no one else does, it's director Nia DaCosta who had to delete her Twitter account when she got the gig for colorful tweets.
People?
Nia admits that superhero fatigue is a real issue First of all,
Nice.
it kind of means that things are quite bad when a Marvel director says this. Second of all, right after that, DaCosta completely misses the point just like others. So let's hear
Obviously.
it. I think superhero fatigue absolutely exists. The biggest difference from the MCU movies to date is that the Marvels is really wacky and silly. Tell me you haven't watched any previous Marvel films without telling me you haven't watched any previous Marvel films. The worlds we go to in this movie are worlds unlike others you've seen in the MCU.
Of
Bright
course.
worlds that you haven't seen before. Really? Then she dropped this
Yeah.
bomb. In terms of women-led films and women as superheroes in particular and excitement around that,
I don't even know what's I want to laugh just, at the start of the sentence. It's like the sentence is already funny because you kind of expect to know what's going to happen even though you haven't read the full sentence. I already want to laugh.
I think it's really just about whether or not the movie's good. A keen insight
Wow.
into the room temperature IQ brain trust at Disney Marvel. I know it's hard to believe Disney repeating the same mistakes as Marvel Comics would end with the same results.
Weird.
Radically altering, subverting, perverting, and outright replacing characters with
times.
decades of development, all to sacrifice our
Oh, everyone loves Namor. I can't. Namor is one of my favorite all-time things, honestly, that Disney has done.
beloved superheroes, our beloved storylines, our beloved Marvel and DC comics on the altar of agenda to the gods of the message. Prioritizing identity politics over good storytelling, the customers, and profits has crushed the comic industry. Doing the same in the MCU destroyed a money-printing franchise that has sucked the life out of the film industry.
Oh yeah, I completely have forgotten about the fact that Kang is supposed to be like the big bad Thanos replacement, yet he kind of seemingly loses constantly and is not threatening at all. Yeah, it is what it is.
And brought Hollywood to its knees. Now, I've heard whispers from inside of Disney Marvel that they realize they went a bit too far and they're starting
they
to
don't.
wonder what went wrong.
No.
Aside from referring
No.
to thousands of videos on this platform, quite a few in my life.
I refuse to believe this whenever I hear it, that they are suddenly thinking, oh, something's wrong. No, those people are absolutely, completely, without question, insane. They think you are wrong for not liking what they create, because what they create is a masterpiece. You are wrong for not liking it. I refuse to believe that these people are capable of thinking anything other but exactly that.
Library or giving a detailed list of all the films and Disney Plus shows they have released since Endgame. Considering their attention span, I just think it's better to show, not tell.
I had to follow Jonathan Majors, the most charismatic man alive.
Let's talk about that diversity and the representation.
Oh, here we go again.
We have 7 languages in this film.
Oh my God.
Wow.
The diversity of such a diverse team.
Diverse, different diversity. For so long, we've seen superheroes that have looked like a small percentage of the world.
I wasn't super into superhero comics when I was a kid. I read a lot of like indie press stuff.
Different.
We have a lot of representation
Diverse.
Where's that?
To feel represented.
So many people now feel so included in the MCU.
El
Jeez.
niño sin amor. Por eso le dicen namor.
By the way, she looks like the Grinch. Just for pointing
El
that out.
niño que creció sin amor. Namor.
We always say
Namor!
that is part of our growth and our global success.
Now, I've got to give credit where credit is due. It takes perseverance, determination, and just plain hard work to fail this badly. Now
True.
back to the Marvel's director, Nia DaCosta. It turns out maybe some of those whispers are telling the truth based on what she said. Will Captain Marvel 3 happen? MCU director addresses future prospects. In the latest issue of Total Film magazine, Nia DaCosta spoke about the possibility of more Captain Marvel adventures beyond the Marvels. I'll pitch Kevin 17 versions of what can happen to all these women and why and how, and that is that. And he's like, okay, girl, and sometimes I think I really got a movie going after this. And then other times I'm
Okay,
like,
girl.
oh, they have this whole other plan that I'm not a part of. Welcome to Hollywood, Nia DaCosta, where you have been cast as a director and not hired. And yes, it's the latter. They're working on a whole other plan that you're not a part of. And
Good.
I'm not entirely sure
Good.
Brie Larson is part of their plans, and neither is
Okay, Brie is a wonderful snowflake flower in a field that needs to be protected. I can't. We need Brie Larson in the MCU, okay? We need her. She was the start, and she needs to be the blade that finishes it. Brie Larson needs to make history. Whatever it takes, we must protect Brie Larson. She is a vital part of this journey, and I refuse to let the lead role go to anyone but her.
she.
I don't know. Does anyone want me to do it again?
Yes. Slay Queen,
As
by
I've
the
said
way.
from day one, the Marvels is doomed. But to be fair, so is the MCU and superhero films. What makes me say that? Well, let's see what's to come. From Sony Marvel, Kraven, a villain that everyone would love to see in a
everyone would love to
Spider-Man
see,
movie, and
obviously.
no one wants to see in a solo film. Then there's season 2 of Loki, a show that completely destroyed the Marvel Cinematic Universe, destroyed...
I love the fact that whenever you see marketing about Loki, it completely ignores the female Loki, which, let's be real, everyone knows that season 2 is only going to be about the female Loki. Because reasons.
The character of Loki, while replacing him with a female version of himself that he then falls in love with, and turn the Infinity Stones into paperweights. Then there's the release date I've had circled on my calendar multiple times because of all the delays. The Marvels, formerly Captain Marvel 2, which is no longer a direct sequel to
Can you imagine not seeing a movie with without Kamala Khan? Man, it's I wake up with cold sweat in the night, screaming, no, not Kamala Khan. She needs to stay. She is the heart of the MCU.
Captain Marvel because its titular character was demoted in her own sequel. Now it's a direct sequel to 3 shows you didn't watch. WandaVision and the 2 lowest rated shows on the D+ platform, Miss Marvel and Secret Invasion. There's no Brie Larson simp out there that can equal my enthusiasm for this film. It's going to be YouTube Christmas. Following that, on D+, there's Echo. Now, I know not too many people have heard about this one. A show that ticks every box for comic book fans. No, not high-stakes action and adventure. The female lead is an indigenous amputee who...
I mean, I want to say one thing about this. We do not need, like, you know, a mainstream hero to be brought to the big screen for it to be successful. Like, look at Guardians of the Galaxy. I barely knew who they are before their movies. And Guardians of the Galaxy is probably, at this point, the only thing left in Marvel that actually is not apparent garbage. You know? And all of those movies are great. Especially the first one. Wow, you know? Second one, kind of a little bit weaker, but that's how it usually goes, right? But in any case, there's so many characters that they can put on, you know, in a TV series, in a movie or whatever, and I see no problem with that. The problem really appears the fact that they are incapable of doing it because they're inept. That's where the problem honestly appears in my eyes.
Who's Deaf, a show Disney Marvel felt so strongly about after multiple reshoots that they tried to can it and couldn't. So instead, they're dropping it all at once on D+ to give it a leg up.
Wait, was that Kingpin? Was that supposed to be Kingpin or something? I can't imagine... No. Yeah, that's supposed to be Kingpin, I think.
Instead, they're dropping it all at once on D+ to give it a leg up.
Nice.
And beyond that, sometime in 2024, there's Captain America 4, a movie without Captain America. And if that doesn't get you excited, this will. Agatha, the Coven of Chaos.
Oh, boy.
The Agatha Harkness show, which will probably be about the patriarchy keeping some women down and Agatha rising as the misunderstood female antagonist that she is.
Obviously.
Except after watching WandaVision, I can make an argument that she's the misunderstood female protagonist of that series.
By the way, how good would it have been if WandaVision was literally Scarlet Witch just going apeshit on everyone constantly? That would have been an actual amazing show because she can pretty much tear the, you know, the DC universe apart. Well, not DC universe, but the Marvel universe apart. Well, probably also the DC universe. Questionable. But yeah, that would have been absolutely amazing. Like, you know, there's that one part in what's the movie called? I forgot. Strange plus her, whatever. Where she travels in, and it's like, what is it? It's supposed to be like the Quiet Council or the Illuminati or whatever. And there's like Reed Richards and all of them, and there's like Black Bolt, and Black Bolt's gonna kill her and whatnot. And she's like, you don't have a mouth now. Good luck. And he blows his brains out. Now, that is the stuff that we want to see, okay? WandaVision could have been that. It would have been great.
And following that, Tony Stark's replacement, Ironheart.
You need to be conscious of the way that you look. Walking around here with that ash on your head. Oh, it's funny. You look good.
I'm sure that'll get them running to the movie theaters and D+. And that's just the stuff we know they've already shot. Then down the line, there's the Thunderbolts, led by the 5'0" Florence Pugh as Black Widow. Also featuring Ghost, the misunderstood female antagonist from The Wasp and Ant-Man.
Who?
You know, Ghost from The Wasp and Ant-Man.
Yeah.
No, not ringing any bells.
Okay, if that doesn't work for you, how about the Armor Wars?
I know about Ghost because I watched a video that specifically, maybe it was by Nerdrotic, I don't remember, but I only know about Ghost because someone told me that she's in there. It's quite funny.
The classic Iron Man storyline from the comics without Iron Man. Instead, you get Rhodey, who's been impersonated by a female Skrull since Civil War.
Obviously female, by the way.
Not a great plan.
Sure, there's Deadpool 3, which unfortunately had to stop shooting due to the strike and will probably be delayed till 2025. And I would like to remind everyone that
Are we hopeful for Deadpool 3? I think we are, right? I think we're kind of hopeful for Deadpool 3, right?
Being made by Disney Marvel.
Ooh.
But at least we could say at one time Marvel was pretty damn good, and that can't be said about DC, who, after their fourth abysmal flop in a row, still have one more to go. And
dude, I'll say this again. Marvel would be on their knees in front of DC if DC just did the logical choice that would literally print money. And that is do all of the Vertigo stuff where, you know, with John Constantine, DC After Dark, baby. That would be absolutely beyond amazing, okay? That would be great. But the problem is, that's kind of probably hard to pull off, you know? Because John Constantine's probably the best comic book hero, or anti-hero, I think he's actually supposed to be. I'm not 100% sure, honestly. Is he a hero or anti-hero, supposedly? But John Constantine is my personal all-time favorite, best comic book hero that has ever existed. He is the best and the most awesomest in every way. He's not lame like Batman. He's not lame like Superman. He's pretty good. And DC could do it. But they don't. Hopefully they do, when they do it, because it's only a matter of time, honestly, before Vertigo pops off, that they don't screw it up.
And Aquaman 2 will become the very first box office plop. So, back to the question of superhero fatigue. Well, there's no question, it's here. A key indicator of superhero fatigue is a film that's pretty well received that doesn't do well. I didn't like Blue Beetle, but a lot of people did, and it's a massive flop. I think a better example of a film that was well received that underperformed due to its massive budget is The Batman. Again, a lot of people liked it.
8 out of 10. I think there's 8 out of 10.
Literally have not watched the past, I don't know, any Batman movies in 20 years, by the way. I can't. I can't. Batman is just so lame in my opinion.
Movie doesn't change the fact that they spent $200 million on this movie and were expecting $1 billion and didn't even get close.
How many times can you just, you know, like the fact that, you know, oh, we're in a bad situation, then Batman just takes out a fucking hairbrush, farts on it, and suddenly, bam, it's over, it's solved. Why? Because I'm Batman. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Close, which contributed to Warner Brothers deciding to reboot the DCEU. On the Marvel side, there's Guardians 3, which did really well, but not as well as Guardians 2. Since Endgame was released, there has been 20 films released in theaters from Marvel and DC.
Okay, here we have actually a chance to talk about the superhero fatigue. It's not fatigue. It's the fact that all of these movies suck. Almost all of these are absolute flops that literally no one cares about. That is the problem. That's the fatigue. It's not because there's too many of them. It's because there's too many bad ones, and you don't want to waste your time because time is precious. And you know that, with their run, how they're performing, well, you're probably wasting your time if you decide to watch a movie. That's the real fatigue. If all of these movies were good, there would be no fatigue, because people would be like, oh, a new Marvel movie, wow, seems good, interesting. But that's not happening, You get one good Marvel movie for 10 bad ones. That's the real fatigue.
And only 3 have hit $1 billion, and none of them were released by Disney. Add to that 8 abysmal shows Disney Marvel has released on D+, and a pretty good argument could be made that superhero fatigue is indeed here. What brought it on? Too many bad films.
Yep.
And now the director of the Marvels has openly admitted it, and that was after late last year, Bob Iger saying that Disney Marvel needs to focus on quality over quantity. You don't say.
Yeah.
And now the end is near, and the MCU is about to face its final curtain. Unfortunately, it's taking the rest of the superheroes with them. If you like what you heard, please like, share.
I'm okay with a complete reboot, by the way. I have no problem with a complete reboot and the collapse of Disney and Marvel and DC and whatnot, as long as it gets rebooted and replaced with something good.
Subscribe if you didn't like what you heard. I thank you for listening this long. I will see you in the next video.
Nah, dude, everyone loved what they heard. Well, it's Nerdrotic. Arguably the worst-channeled Nerdrotic daily. That's a good thing. Anyway, great video. 10 out of 10. And this was Chris said, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.